We're sitting here with the legendary Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross. Man, I can't tell you how excited I've been to do this interview, man. You know, somebody like me, I grew up in this area, and when I was a kid, and growing up, man, you were a legend. Yeah. A legend. And my wife, my kids, everybody, I've been jonesing about this interview because, wow. you know, you're my hero, Rick. So let's kind of go into, you know, talk about your upbringing and who Rick Ross is and the real Rick Ross and the beginnings.
Well, you know, I was brought up in South Central as well. Moved to L.A. when I was about 3, getting ready to turn 4 years old, and been there ever since, except when I went to prison. You know, they took me out for a while. But you know, I look at myself just like a normal dude, man. I ain't nothing special, man. Just want to make life better, not only for myself but for others as well. And that's really how I have been able to get all my success, you know, is because with me it's not just the individual, it's the whole group, you know. How is this going to benefit the body and not just one organ of the body? Because if everybody is not eating and thriving, the body's not working properly. So that kind of gives you a quick summary of, you know, who I am, you know, where I grew up at, and, you know.
Let's kind of talk about, you know, growing up in L.A. and how you got into the dope game.
Well, you know, I was kind of lucky, right? Because a lot of the guys that I went to like elementary school with and junior high school with are dead or doing a lot of time. Matter of fact, my best friend in elementary school, probably from like the 5th grade up until the 7th grade when he went to juvenile hall, just got out from doing like 38 years, you know. So when I look back at my life, you know, I only could say I was treading water, you know. I was lucky when I got to be 12 years old, I was introduced to tennis, and that took me in a different direction because at a younger age, I wanted to be a Crip, just like my friend who just got out from doing 38 years in prison, Baby Bam. But fortunate for me, somebody put a tennis racket in my hand, and that kind of allowed me to be steered in a different direction. And but that still kept my street cred even after I went through the tennis cycle. I started playing tennis, like I said, around 12, and I played up until 18 years old, the last year of high school, when it was discovered that I couldn't read, couldn't write, and that I wouldn't be going to college. I found myself slipping back into South Central Los Angeles, starting to reacquaint myself with people that I used to be around, and start to do the things that they were doing.
So tennis is not like AAU basketball, huh? Like, so, you know, AAU basketball, I see kids have, you know, the education, you know, they're not getting the education, but somehow they make it to college and get through college. I guess the tennis ain't like that, huh?
Well, no, you know, most tennis players are pretty intelligent. I don't know where I missed out on the education part. But you know, basketball, they play 1 year and they end in the league. Yeah. But now that I look back at my life, I see how I could have made it, because you know I go speak at colleges now, and I got the same background. I can read now, but they don't know that. Yeah. But that's one of my things when I go out and speak to the colleges, is that, you know, I couldn't get in here under their documentation as a student, but they'll pay me $5,000 to come here and speak. So it's just another testament of how if you be determined and stay focused, doors will open up for you. that seem almost impossible to open.
So you're in LA, you know, you start, you know, you don't make it to college because of the grades and stuff, and you start getting into the drug gang.
Street life. Because it wasn't a drug game at first. It started off real subtle, you know, just the first thing I did is I started hanging out with my old buddies and going to the street races where they were low riding and people were smoking weed and chicks and you know, and I was like, wow, I've been missing this. For me, it was exciting. You know, you talking about you pretty much got a guy that's a square, a nerd, and now they go from being a nerd to low riding and convertible cars and Parliament Funkadelics and you know and Rick James and like this a whole nother world, you know.
Yeah.
Where have I been? and for me it was I felt like an eye opener, you know, like I've been tripping, chasing this tennis ball and these guys got these pretty cars and these pretty girls, and I was like, man, this is where I want to be anyway. Yeah. That's why I played tennis so hard, because that's what I was trying to get to. So when I saw it, it was like a match made in heaven.
Yeah. And so so tell me your first experience in the dope game.
My first experience, well, really my first experience was the movie Superfly. Okay. And a lot of people may not understand how that could be your first experience when you can't touch it, you can't. But the movie Superfly gave me a concept, a feeling, hope, the possibility. You know, when I saw this brother beat the man at their own game, you know, and you know, I've been low riding, so you know, if you low ride, the police gonna treat you like a third or fourth class citizen. You know, sit on the ground, don't move, lay on the ground. They don't care what you wearing. You know, you could be wearing like your best clothes. You know, because when you low ride, you gonna put on your best pants and your best shoes, and you trying to style and profile, and they would tell you to get on the ground. So when I go see this movie Superfly, and I'm like, wow, this dude beat the man. You know, and one of the scenes in Superfly I never forget, the guy is going through Superfly bag looking for the money, and he pulling out his dirty clothes, and he said, trying to do my dirty clothes, I ain't gonna say you fuck with me and you dead. I was like, wow, he did that, you know. So me coming from the South, you know, where blacks still had to say yes sir and yes ma'am to whites, was like, that's the life I want. You know, that's the life I wish I had. And it's funny the way the mind works. You know, when I went to prison and I learned how to read and write, I started to find out that we can attract the things that we want through our thinking and through our attitude. And
law of attraction is the secret.
That's what they call it, the law of attraction. Yeah. So a couple years later, I'm sitting on my mom's porch, and my boy called me, and he's playing football for college up in San Jose, and he was like, man, come by the house, I got the new thing. And when I go by his crib, he lays out these white lines, and I was like, wow, that looked like the stuff was in Superfly. So it was a little yellower than what I thought it should have been, you know, because I had never seen it in person. I just saw it on the screen. So on the screen, it looked white, and this was yellow. And he was like, man, go ahead, take a snort. And for me, it was something totally new. I'd never drunk a beer, had never smoked a cigarette or a joint or nothing. And but this was my boy, though. You know, this my man. Yeah. And he's saying it was cool, and then he hit it up his nose a couple times, and then I was like, I hit it too, bam, bam, man. And I was like, wow. And he gave me a piece to try out and see if I could sell it. And man, I went around and asking everybody. Nobody knew what it was. And then finally I ran into a pimp on Fig, and He told me it was coke and it was good. My career was started.